So now let's move forward in time to today. And you mentioned a moment ago the fact that you now have protesters who are attempting to actively intimidate justices of the Supreme Court. I mean, that's why you show up at somebody's house. You don't show up at somebody's house for any other reason other than intimidation, which is why it is actually against municipal law for people to do this sort of thing. Meanwhile, you have some mush words from the White House, some members of the media suggesting that this is an act of good because, after all, rights are threatened. So I want to get to your opinion on that. I want to first kind of get your general opinion on the leak of the majority opinion from the draft majority opinion from the Supreme Court. Is there any criminal activity there? Because, I mean, certainly that is a violation of whatever rules of the Supreme Court exist.
Yeah, I think there clearly is criminal activity. I think if the intent was to derail the opinion and influence the court, which I think it gives every indication that was behind the leak, and if that's the case, I think it's clearly an obstruction of justice. It's an attempt to influence the due administration of justice. And I think there are a number of other federal laws that are implicated, including the conversion of a government document for one's own purposes, and a fraud against the United States, a conspiracy to defraud the United States. So I think there are a number of criminal laws that are implicated, and I think it's a manifestation, along with the effort to intimidate the court, of the means justify the ends attitude of progressives. They have a religious fervor that they're on the vanguard of history and they know where to take the country, and anyone who opposes them is evil, and therefore it justifies anything they do. And they're the ones, as have said all along, are shredding norms and attacking our institutions. They are the ones that are eating out the innards of our institutions and have been for decades.
So, moving back to the sort of activity that we're seeing, I mean, I can't say that I'm particularly shocked by the fact that so many on the left are defending this sort of activity outside of Supreme Court justices' houses, but it still seems like we were promised that we would be reaching a new age of comedy and unity in the aftermath of the Trump administration. Joe Biden came into office promising unity. I'm not spotting it too much.
No, I agree, but also their tolerance of violence goes back a way. I mean, even during the campaign in 2016, there was a whole series of attacks on Trump supporters, in San Jose and Costa Mesa and Albuquerque and so forth, and that seemed to be tolerated. And then you had the summer of 2020. So I'm not surprised that they countenance this kind of violence and attack on our institutions. You might remember during the Trump administration, they would wring their hands whenever there was a criticism of the court. When someone criticized an opinion, they said this was jeopardizing the independence of a court. Now, that's not true, because criticism is the only way to try to keep judges on the straight and narrow, is to call attention to when they depart from their role. But they were saying that was an attack on the independence of the court. And here you have actual intimidation, and they're silent about it.
Facts don't care about your feelings, and it's a fact that The Ben Shapiro Show is the largest conservative podcast in the nation. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and stay up to date on all of our content.